Damn.
After a long weekend. I missed you guys. I did miss you, Spinoni. Well, I got to see Spinoni Friday. I don't know if I really miss Lubman because I felt like I'd text with him every day, and it's going to be all these Giants takes. And
he missed me.
He was all on his feelings about J.D. Davis. J.D. Davis is better than Austin Riley this year. He should be an all-star. Pump your brakes. Austin Riley is a better player, and it's an all-star.
The Braves are like 59-30 or something. Something crazy.
So, Shasky, did I miss him? See him all over Twitter. I missed the roasters, though. I miss YouTube. I missed the chat on YouTube.
I took a couple days off of Twitter.
Yeah, that's good.
I was coaching on a field, getting banished to the dugout by an umpire.
Boy, you did?
Yeah, you didn't hear about that?
It's a shame. It's embarrassing.
We were down in the Monterey area, and basically the umpires were all Monterey-based, all of them. And look, I don't want to be that guy.
Home cooking.
I don't want to be that guy complaining about strike zones and plays out on the field.
But you're going to complain about the strike zone.
No, I'm not trying to joke. No joke. We were the only team that was really out of town because we were from San Francisco. Everybody else was Mountain View and below. So it was Seaside, Marina, Pacific Grove, Carmel. They were all from that area. These umpires were horrific. And all I said to the guy as I was walking, it was on the Game Changer video app for anyone that's out there doing the I said to the guy, hey, I get it. We're down here. We're the away team. We're from San Francisco. Everybody hates us. I get that. Believe me, I understand it. These are 12-year-olds. All I'm asking is for equal officiating. You call it one way, call it the same way when we're on the field. That's it. Next thing you know, your boy got banished from coaching first base and got stuffed into the dugout.
So you started that rant by saying you weren't going to complain about the strike zone, and you ended up complaining about the strike zone.
It wasn't the strike zone. The strike zone was horrible. It was horrible. But to me, there were 5 or 6 plays out on the field in one game.
All right.
In one game. And then we picked the kid off. It was just, dude, it was
You can't be complaining about 12-year-olds, dude. You got to stop. By the way, Chris M.
I want our kids to get a fair shake.
Chris M. Bonte would have bet on the whole team. You damn right I would have bet on Monterey. Shout out to Charlie and Prince.
We beat Carmel. We beat Marina. We beat, what was the third team? Mountain View.
All right. We're wasting Anthony Slater's time. I'm sure
we're on to we're on to quarterfinals. All right. San Francisco 12U is on to quarterfinals.
All right. Well, stop complaining about the strike
California,
zone.
here we come.
Stop complaining about the strike zone. Damn.
And I gave you a hat this morning.
Man, you did give me a hat. I'm not going to wear it because I got a fresh cut, even though I didn't brush my hair this morning. Anthony Slater, as we say good morning to everybody getting out the graveyard shift and everybody getting ready for work, let's say good morning to Anthony Slater, who's been up at the California Classic up in Sacramento, which is basically like a home gym for him nowadays.
Oh, nice.
Our 95.7 Game Insiders. Good to have Slates back on the roast. I want him on every week, but apparently we're hurting for cash here at Odyssey. Anthony, good morning. What's happening?
Shasky was in a scene from Remember the Titans or something right there.
That was Bad News Bears. That was the original. Can you believe the guy that complained about a strike zone? What's worse, Anthony? Complaining about a strike zone in Little League?
No, it was not strike zone.
Betting on a Little League baseball game. No. What's worse?
I think betting probably. That's bad.
Slate.
Seriously, you think that's bad?
When we've been practicing with these boys for weeks on end. We take this big trip down to Monterey. A lot of families don't have a lot of money. They're putting all their resources into this, and these kids really, truly care about it, all right? Really care. All I'm asking is that you call the game down the middle a little and don't be so slanted. When the opposing Carmel team is like, hey, Mario, great call at second, wink, wink, beers at the tavern later. It's like, whoa, what are we doing here? Come on, just call it fair. I was fighting for my kids.
I just hope these umpires weren't 14 years old and you're just berating a 14-year-old.
No, he's berating volunteer umpires who spent their 4th of July weekend.
They were paid.
4th of July weekend in Carmel.
Pony is paying them.
All day long out there in the hot, sweltering heat. And Shasky's out here ripping them on the airways. Boy, how dare you.
First baseline betting on the game. I mean, what a scene. But, again, a movie.
Well, yeah, I mean, people who bet on Little League World Series need to get their lives checked out. Let me tell you, hey, Anthony, before we get into Draymond Green, I hit a low in life. Early in my radio career, I wasn't making a lot of money, and I bet on a game, and a poor kid was trying to run down the first baseline. He didn't beat it out, and I slammed my remote and said, come on, you fat ass, get down the line. And that's what I knew. I hit a new low.
12.
I hit a new low. I admit it. Like Draymond Green. He's admitting things. He's holding himself accountable. I held myself accountable for betting on Little League Baseball. I never done it again, although it is coming up, and I'm seeing some of the lies here. Anthony, Draymond Green back 4 years, $100 million. Saves the Warriors, I believe, $43 million off the luxury tax? And we kind of knew that Draymond Green was going to resign with the way the Joe Lacob and Mike Dunleavy Jr. prioritize Draymond Green. How else would you assess the Warriors offseason so far?
It's not over. They're at 12 on the roster at this point. They're going to get to 14. They're going to have 3 two-ways, by the way, next season. So all those people who love Steve Kerr, playing his two-ways, he's going to get another one next year. So as you can see, the market is completely stalled right now. I think there's been one signing in the last 2 days. So it's wait and see. I mean, on one, I guess, surface, like the Warriors off season, like I said, is not over because they have 2 more guys to sign. But on the other, I think we all know, like, their rotation's pretty much set. I mean, anyone they get in the next few days or next week is like player 8, 9 in the rotation, maybe, and then player like 12, 13 in the rotation.
Would Dario Saric be okay with that?
Yeah, I mean, Dario Saric would step into the Otto Porter, supposedly Jermichael Green type role. I mean, Dario Saric is interested clearly in the Warriors. He's also interested clearly in some other opportunities, and he's exploring those right now. But yeah, I think Saric is the one guy out there you could definitely guarantee a rotation spot to, and probably should.
Were you surprised that nobody else was out here really truly bidding for Draymond? Because that's what it feels like to me.
No, there was plenty of noise behind the scenes in the week leading up to it. I think the biggest signal that things were trending this direction was when the Jordan Poole Chris Paul trade was made. I mean, which happens a lot. There's always at least 7 or 8 transactions or player option pickups in the 2 weeks leading up to free agency that tells you where something is going. To me, that told everyone that I would say 2 things. Draymond declining his player options early as he did, 2 weeks before he had to, he put that out there. That signal to the Warriors and the rest of the league there was some level of market out there. Some teams were out there willing to try to create enough space to get him towards that 27, 30 type million. But then when they traded Jordan Poole, it was like, okay, the Warriors, they're coming together on some type of contract that they're okay with.
What did you think of the contract in terms of the value, the years, and what it gives the Warriors moving forward?
I think it was smartly structured on both sides. I mean, Draymond obviously gets the win when he's 37 years old. He's going to be making $27 million on a player option for a season that the Warriors weren't trying to give him. They were trying to give him a 3-year deal. So that is that's a huge win on the back end. But I think it's smart from the Warriors side to mortgage that down the line when Steph Curry will be aged out of his prime for the front side, which is they slash the tax bill. And I know fans don't necessarily care about that, but that's very important within the front office and how they maneuver and their flexibility. They really slash the tax bill back to a more appetizing level. And, add that into the Chris Paul for Jordan Poole, I guess switch they made this summer. I think this all makes it very likely that everyone's saying last dance. I think it's very likely Draymond Green, Klay Thompson, and Steph Curry now are here for the next 3 years. Yeah. So I think we're talking about kind of an extended farewell tour that's going to last beyond the season.
Anthony Slater, our 95.7 The Game insider here on the Warner Royals, covers the Warriors, covers the Kings, covers the entire league, man. Does a hell of a job. One of the best beat writers out there, if not the best. When it comes to Draymond Green, obviously, you talked about the Chris Paul trade. Obviously, Jordan Poole's in Washington now, Chris Paul. Are we sold that Chris Paul is going to come off the bench? Because I'm starting to hear some rumblings that he does want to start. How does that look like for the Golden State Warriors if Chris Paul does want to start?
I think it's why you pay Steve Kerr a lot of money. I mean, I think these are difficult conversations, and maybe there's test runs here and there, or maybe it's depending on the matchup, you go different lineups. But these are conversations that probably don't even really have to happen until you get towards September.
Right.
But I mean, I think my expectation is it's all going to come to a point where it's pretty obvious that, especially in the regular season, the Warriors should stick with their traditional starting 5, which last season when they were together, which wasn't that much because of Wiggins, but when they were together was still the best per minute lineup in the league. You go back to the playoffs previously, they won the title with that starting lineup. Stay with that. Chris Paul can be, on certain nights, a high-usage bench player. On other nights, a low usage, right? I mean, you do not want to overburden Chris Paul in the regular season. He can close in certain matchups and not in others. But no, I think it's pretty obvious he should be a bench player. But yeah, I mean, obviously, delicate conversations maybe need to happen.
Right.
Yeah, it's interesting. Will they be able to coerce him into that? Is that something he's willing to do? You think at this point? Because I just think we're underrating each of these guys' egos. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I just mean like it's part of what made them Hall of Famers and great and legends is they think they can do unprecedented things. Is he ready to accept a bench role at this point, you think?
Well, I mean, I don't know necessarily what his, like, he doesn't necessarily, like, he doesn't have, like, the Klay Thompson equity with the Warriors or the Draymond Green equity. And also, hey, Draymond Green came off the bench in the playoffs. Steph Curry, we all know, has done it. Klay Thompson's the one guy that has not done it. But, you know, think about him just, like, walking into the locker room that includes Kevon Looney, who gets benched every other week, essentially. And think about what Kevon Looney's done for the Warriors. And then Chris Paul's, like, first, you know, I guess, like, state of, you know, like his first thing he does as a member of the Warriors is like, no, not coming off the bench, start me. I don't expect that relationship to go that way. I remember like Carmelo Anthony was so staunchly against coming off the bench, but then as it got really late in his career, he came to accept it, and then he came like it ended up being a good thing.
Yeah, it was valuable.
Right.
Yeah, Russell Westbrook when he finally last season accepted coming off the bench, it like, you know, I think charged his career up again, and now he's getting, you know, he's got a nice spot, I assume, coming off the bench for the Clippers next season. So my expectation is he will, even though maybe it needs to be framed well to the public and some, like, you know, he comes out in like a nice press conference and like says he'll allow it, but I think it'll probably happen.
You know, Dante DiVincenzo got the 4-year, $50 million contract. Ty Jerome gets signed with the Cleveland Cavaliers. A lot of people kind of banging the table. We kind of knew Dante would opt out. Are the Warriors still that franchise to where veterans will see, I can go there and revitalize my career. I can go there, get right, and then get paid after the season? Or have they lost that allure after what happened last season?
You know, I remember when Dante did sign last year, he mentioned, like, watching Gary Payton II in the playoffs and watching Otto Porter in the playoffs, two guys that got paid off, you know, being a role player for the Warriors, and like that really appealed to him. That's why he took a discount to come to the Warriors, and obviously it worked. And you know, maybe if you are in the market now, you can look at what DiVincenzo just did. But I think them just not appearing to be quite the contender that they were, number one, and number two, like there's just not really a ton of minutes to offer a lot of these guys. Like maybe Dario Saric takes it and does his press conference and says that you know, he wants to use this as a bounce back into the market next year. But I just think the fact that Moody's on the rise, Kuminga's on the rise, like at this point, besides Saric, who are you going to give rotation spot in the top 9 to that's left in the market right now?
Bull, I don't know. I'm just throwing out names that people are obsessed with. I'm just throwing out.
Anthony, you remember at the draft?
I'm throwing out names people keep throwing out to us. I'm just throwing it out there.
Anthony, you remember at the draft party when they drafted Jordan Poole, Pascal, and Smiley-Keach? Media members like ourselves were banging, ball. So is there any interest in Bobo, who got waived yesterday by the Orlando Magic?
I don't sense any early on, but like, I mean, Bull. I think one thing Mike Dunleavy Jr. has signaled this summer is they are adding Steve Kerr players, right? Every single player, the draft picks, the Corey Joseph signing, the Saric, you know, chase that they're on right now. That's all like plug and play in Steve Kerr's system. It's all, you know, ability to read, react, move with the ball, quick decision making, 0.5. Every time I talk to anyone behind the scenes, they mention 0.5, like this like organizational mantra. Bull is intriguing. Bull is, you know, huge and sometimes can hit threes and make dribble moves that, you know, look like, you know, even Wembanyama for, you know, a brief second. He's not a Steve Kerr player, right? I mean, like, can you see him in a flow offense with a back cut and, you know, and then he's setting a pin down?
Well, Anthony, you say that, but Steve's only got the 1 year left. So do you anticipate some sort of an extension being worked out this offseason for Steve Kerr?
Potentially. I mean, obviously that'll be a conversation. That'll be a conversation later in the summer. But, I mean, anybody you're signing right now is on a 1 year deal. I mean, all these additions that we're talking about you're trying to maximize next season. So I guess we can get into the Kerr conversation, but I'm more to the point of who they might add.
Right.
All that they're signaling right now is they are adding Steve Kerr players.
Steve Kerr
that's why I don't think a Bull guy.
Yep, high IQ, no turnover. Steve Kerr made it He was incessant when he was talking about, hey, man, we need guys who don't turn the ball over. Obviously, Jordan Poole was number 4 in the league when it came to overall turnovers. Not blaming it all on JP, but he was a turnover machine. So you mentioned that the Warriors may not be that contender that maybe wins a championship. So as of right now, and I know the offseason, we got a few weeks left, and we'll see what happens here. The Lakers seem like they've had a really good offseason retaining their guys, bringing in Gabe Vincent from Miami. Denver loses Bruce Brown. That may knock them down a peg. Phoenix has signed a bunch of guys. Where are the Warriors at right now as of today? I know we still got the offseason left here, Anthony. As of today, where do you have them stacked up in the West?
Oh, God, just kind of in that muddled middle. I mean, you guys remember the West standings, like all of last season, like through the course of the season? Like everyone was separated by 4 games, except for Denver. Denver's clearly the one, right? We know that's going in next season. But, you know, I don't know, like, there's so many random teams down there, like the Dallases, the Pelicans of the world. Remember, the Pelicans were like a top 3 seed for like 2 months before they fell off last year. You know, name your random flawed West contender. I think the Warriors are in that mix. I do expect an extra motivation level from the Warriors entering next season, extra desperation. I don't presume anything's going to happen in preseason quite like it did last year. So I think the first month will be huge to just kind of, you know, if they're healthy going into the season and they just can kind of have, they don't need to have the 18-2 start that they had, but just a much better start than last year. Then I think you'll feel like they're right in the mix, you know, below what you consider Denver. That next year probably has the Lakers, like you mentioned at the top of it, but sure they're in the mix because I just don't like the West. I didn't like the West last year. I don't like it next year.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you there. I'm totally on board with that one. Real quick before we get you out of here, Podziemski. Not a bad debut for him. I'm not going to put too much stock in the summer league. However, Lester Quinones, a lot of fans are saying, hey, that's our Jordan Poole right there. What's the deal with Quinones and his contract? Can you explain to the masses what can happen here? Can another team come and pluck him off the Warriors roster?
Yeah, so he has a 2-way qualifying offer extended out to him right now. At any point he could accept it, and he'd be on one of their 2-ways next season. I think that's generally the organizational hope. There's a lot of control there. But, you know, if another team came in and offered him the minimum to come on a roster, the Warriors could match. But then they're using up one of their, you know, remaining 2 15-man roster spots. So that's just kind of where it's at. My expectation is he'll be on a 2-way. But, you know, things can change. Maybe, you know, he keeps lighting it up like that. Maybe some, you know, Spurs or something comes out there and says, hey, look, let's get that guy on the roster.
Summer League can make dreams come true. Will you be up there at the Golden One Center tonight?
I will. 3 p.m. Brandon Miller they're going against today.
Oh, it did not look good the other day, Monday.
He didn't. Their whole team didn't. James Bouknight, remember when Warriors?
Nobody talks about Bouknight anymore around these parts. Nobody. All right, Anthony, get some rest,
Thanks,
man.
buddy.
We'll cover your work up there at the Athletic today at the Golden One Center. California Classic. Anthony, take care.
All right, fellas.
All right, buddy.
He referenced something in passing, Anthony Slater, right there. That was a really good conversation.